Hey guys, Ervits assessment here. I want to wish you and your family a happy holidays. All right, guys. So Ervits assessment back again. All right, you guys remember if you could like, subscribe, comment, share, I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, so we'll go over the boxing fight from last weekend, Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones. MMA, remember there were so many cancellations that were happening, postponements. So the main event was Anthony Smith versus Devin Clark, which I wasn't going over. So we skipped MMA for this week, but we will talk about the main event this week. So let's jump into boxing. So remember, I told you guys it was going to be Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr., a throwback. Now, first on that card, just because it was such a vicious knockout, was former NBA slam dunk champion Nate Robinson. He was making his debut. He was fighting YouTube sensation Jake Paul. I guess Nate Robinson called him out. It was the first time he's stepping into the ring. And man, that was such a brutal KO. I'll show you guys the clip. Just stick to basketball. I mean, he's retired, but you don't play boxing. You don't just go in there and say, hey, I want to go fight, for the first time ever with very limited training. It just looked like he looked exactly like he didn't know what he was doing. So that was pretty embarrassing. So I just had to show you that. So with that event, remember, you had Tyson was 53, who hadn't fought in 15 years, against Roy Jones Jr., 51, who hasn't fought since 2018. Now, these guys are legends, so they put it on an exhibition. Let me tell you, Tyson looked really good for his age. I mean, you know what I'm saying? For a guy that hadn't stepped in the ring in 15 years, he looked good. And he was hitting Roy Jones with some shots, some good body shots, everything. You could see they were wearing on Roy. They called it a draw. I mean, WBC had like some celebrity judges there, former fighters, and they called it a draw. But anybody who watched it, anybody who knows, Tyson won that fight. Again, it was an exhibition, so it's not going to count against their record. I really hope they don't fight any young guys. I mean, if they want to fight amongst the older guys, I guess that's cool, but not. I don't want to see these guys get seriously hurt, because if they fight a young guy, they will get seriously hurt. But yeah, that was fun there. All right, but there's actually like a real boxing fight coming up this weekend. So first we're going to go into MMA, the main event for UFC Fight Night. It's going to be Jack Hermansson facing Marvin Vettori. Now, this is in the middleweight division. Now, originally, it was supposed to be Kevin Holland. He tested positive for COVID, so he's going to be fighting next weekend on UFC 256 against a different opponent. But he was supposed to fight Hermansson. So Jack Hermansson's ranked number 4. He's coming off of a victory against Kelvin Gastelum, where he won very quickly in the first round by submission. He's fighting Marvin Vettori, who's number 13 ranked. He is on a 3-fight win streak. He beat Carl Roberson by submission. So this is good for Vettori. He's been calling out a top 10 guy. He's going to get it in Jack Hermansson. This is a good test for Vettori. He's young. I mean, he lost not too long ago to Israel Adesanya. Now, granted, this was Adesanya's, I think, first or second fight in the UFC. But it was a split decision victory for Adesanya. So people were like, hey, getting high on Marvin Vettori there, thinking, hey, he might do something. He's young. But I'm going to go with Jack Hermansson here for victory. He's a submission specialist. I mean, Vittori's good at submissions also, but Hermansson's really, really good at that. So I'm going to pick him to win I don't know if he'll win by submission. I mean, I think it would be impressive to see, and I hope he does, but I think he'll win that fight. So that will be that one. I don't really know the guys in the other card there. What I'm going to be looking forward to is next weekend will be UFC 256. So we'll go over that. But the fight I'm really looking forward to this weekend is in boxing. It's in the welterweight division. It is the king of the welterweight division, in my opinion, not Terrence Crawford. It's Errol Spence. He's fighting against Danny Garcia. Now, this fight was supposed to happen last year. If you remember, Errol Spence was in a horrible car accident. I think he was speeding in his Ferrari. I don't know if he hit something or just lost control, but he flipped over many times. He was in really bad condition. It did not look good. I mean, people were questioning, wondering, is this dude going to be able to fight anymore? This is a tricky fight for him. Danny Garcia, he's been in there with top guys. He's only lost twice. He's lost to Keith Thurman, and then he lost most recently to Sean Porter. Now he's on a 2-fight winning streak, where Errol Spence is undefeated. Now, Garcia can present a lot of different problems. He has good power. He's got good boxing. He's got some good skills. Now, if this happened prior to the accident, I would say I don't really think there would be a question mark there. I think Spence wins this. I know if some people were saying, because, Spence won his last fight by split decision against Sean Porter. People were like, does he really have it? I still think he does because Sean Porter is just a tricky guy. He's a tricky fight for a lot of people. But that was before the accident. Now the big question mark could be is how this accident, hurts his career going forward. Because, he was in critical condition. People weren't sure if he was ever going to box again. So again, it's been a year later, but you never know with something like that. You just don't know how it's going to affect your career going forward. I don't really know. It's big question marks there. So this is a good test for him to see where he is back in the welterweight division. I do still think Spence will win this fight. I think he's just too good at boxing. He's got really good power. I hope this accident did not affect him because he's such a great fighter. So I'm hoping he's back to normal and everything. But again, it's a good test for him. Daniel will present him some issues, but again, I got Errol Spence winning that fight. So remember, 2 picks for this weekend. In MMA, I got Jack Hermansson winning, and in boxing, I got Errol Spence winning. All right, remember, next week, guys, we're going to have a big UFC card, UFC 256, something that has never been done before. Davidson Figueiredo, who just defended his belt 3 weeks ago, is defending it again against Brandon Moreno. Unheard of to have a champion do a quick turnaround like this. All props to him. That will be a good fight, so we're going to go over that. And in boxing, you got, in my opinion, the second best heavyweight in the world, Anthony Joshua. He's putting his belts on the line against Pulev. So we'll go over those fights next week. Remember, guys, it's Ervits Assessment. If you could like, comment, subscribe, and share, I greatly appreciate it. All right, guys. Peace.